Imagine with me a world where animals haunt humans and treat them like animals, doing the worst things to them just for eating and killing them in the most horrific ways possible. This is the story of our comic, but before we start, remember to like and subscribe. Let's begin. The story begins with a car accident. The car flipped over twice and then fell silent. Inside, an unconscious man wakes up, calling out his daughter's name, Chica, before he passes out again. Suddenly, the car is moved by a giant creature with massive legs, covered in dark brown hair, a bear in human clothes adjusting the car. After a short while, the man opens his eyes and finds himself lying on a bed with a black stain. The door opens slowly, and a creature that looks like half pig, half human enters, looking at him and saying in a cold voice, "You woke up." The man is surprised and replies, "Who are you?" "Don't worry, I am your daughter's friend." The pig is smiling, but the smile wasn't normal. It was the smile of someone who hides something. The man convinced himself that what was in front of him was just a child in a costume, so he leaves the room and walks behind the pig down a dark, narrow corridor. The walls are covered with pictures of animal heads, but he doesn't care. The most important thing is seeing his daughter. The pig opens a big door, and behind it is a spacious room with a long table around which sit hybrid-like creatures, their faces all non-human, all eating in silence. At the end of the table, he sees his daughter, Chica, laughing and playing with the hybrid animals. The man runs to her and hugs her, and she tells him the place is nice here. Suddenly, they hear a sound from behind them. Someone is tapping a fork on a glass. "Hello, I am the leader of this house." This creature was different, he was clearly the leader of the place. "Half deer, half human," he said, "sit down, eat with us." The man sat down and started eating ravenously. The animals were surprised but admired him. The smell of the food was strange, the taste was even stranger. It felt like pork or chicken meat. The deer spoke as if he were in a presentation, "The new guest smells old, and his age is suitable." A muffled laugh came from someone half dog, who said, "He looks like a young man, with high fitness and excellent eyes." After eating, he and his daughter thanked the deer leader for his hospitality and said with a smile, "I don't want to burden you too much. My daughter and I were a bit injured in the accident, we need to go to the hospital, and we need to do tests." Suddenly, everyone at the table went silent. All chewing sounds suddenly stopped. The sentence, "go to the hospital," was forbidden here. The leader broke the silence with a smile, saying to frighten the silence, "Of course, you must go, but before you leave, you must see our farm." Chica looked at her father and said, "Daddy, can we stay a little longer? The place is really nice." The man hesitated, but when he saw her smile, he agreed. They walked with the hybrid pig until they reached an iron gate that opened with a long, echoing sound. They entered. The smell choked them from the first step, but what was behind the gate shocked them even more. The father saw many human children tied up in cages, their bodies covered in dry mud, looking like they were almost starving to death. The pig looked at them and said with a smile, "All these delicious meats are raised by us. Their meat is very delicious. When we want to enjoy, we give them some water and watch them fight, then we slaughter them." He sprinkled water on the humans who were going crazy for it. The father stood, unable to believe it, and before he could say anything, the pig pushed them inside the cell, replying, "Excellent specimens. Don't worry, we will treat you better than these humans." After a short while, the cell doors suddenly opened without a sound, without warning. The man looked around. "Chica, run, don't look back." They were running at their fastest, terrified, in a large forest. At the same time, the animals gathered. The deer told them happily, "Let the hunt begin. Prepare for celebration." As they ran, they noticed a small boy waving from afar. The boy got closer. When he stopped in front of them, he looked at the sky and cried, "Master, come quickly." They started barking like dogs. Suddenly, a hybrid dog appeared, holding a rifle aimed at them, and without hesitation, the dog fired. But the bullet hit the pet human kid instead of the father, bleeding and dying instantly. The man grabs his daughter's hand and screams, "Run." They run with all their might. They reach the river and jump in. But as he descends, he feels something grab his leg. He screams at the top of his voice as his leg is torn off by a bear trap, and he can't bear it. Chica, his daughter, stops, her eyes full of tears. "Dad," she screams, "run quickly." The girl listens and runs while a huge wild boar follows them. It smells the blood that fell in the trap and keeps circling, looking for their scent among the trees and mud. The father hides behind a large tree trunk, holding his breath. But the pig reaches him, lifts him with its hand forcefully and cruelly, laughing. Even if this upsets the leader, it doesn't matter. He will surely forgive me without mercy. The pig bites his ear and cuts it off. Blood flows from his side. It brings its jaw closer to his face, preparing to sever his neck. But suddenly, a shot erupts in the area. The leader appears. He shouts at the injured pig in anger, "How many times do I have to tell you? We can't torture them. We aren't humans. If we act like them, what will be the difference between us and them?" So the pig apologizes, and the leader forgives him. The deer takes the father with him, but Chica gets lost in the forest, and a bear finds her. The scene suddenly cuts to a kitchen. The chefs are animals, standing around a huge table, cutting meat and preparing a very large feast for the animals, revealing it's the father's meat. His life meant nothing. The animals are talking about how they will use his body, what they will marinate and grill, and how they will use the bones and fat. The servants are preparing the dining table for the rest of the animals who sit before them. The father's head is decorated in the center of the table. The deer says, "Do not worry, you will not disappear. You will become part of us. Enjoy, gentlemen." The young pig enters and says to the deer, "Sir, 3 humans have arrived at the farm's gates." The deer smiles, "Welcome them well." The story then cuts to 2 animals walking, pushing a cart full of human children. One of them is an ostrich and the other a wild cat, just workers transporting food for the upper class of society. Suddenly, the cart shakes, and the children tumble inside. They don't understand where they're going. A small child extends his hand, his eyes filled with pleading, "Help me, please," but the animal quickly pushes him away. They arrive at empty fields, open the door, and throw the children inside, telling them simply, "Run." A pack of animal hunters attacks the children, chasing them down and killing them in the most horrific ways. They slaughter them, eat them alive, and pile them up before the farm after the massacre. The cat and the badger then go to a bar. They sit at a table and order fried human legs and beer. The food is served. The badger enjoys it, but he senses something. There's something wrong with the cat. His friend seems sad, asking, "What's wrong?" But the cat doesn't know. He feels pain but doesn't know why. The cat takes the first bite from the human in front of him and remembers the kid pleading for help. He feels her pain. Anger suddenly overcomes him. His stomach aches. Then he vomits everything in his stomach. In the bathroom, he's surprised. What's wrong with him? The next day, the animal children are taking a school tour on the farm. They see humans tied up, classified as grades of meat, 1st grade, 2nd grade, exactly like cows. The cat is standing with them, but the one leading the tour is the deer, the leader. The children are shouting at the humans. They look at them as if they were in a zoo. The leader asks the children to be quiet so the humans can turn around and open their eyes. Then we see another cage full of fat humans eating feed like livestock. He describes them as producing the best meat and that you can make the most delicious food from them. The deer then lets the cat continue the tour with him. There is a discussion about whether they should give the children a dissected human body to study. The cat agrees. Indeed, a human child is placed on the table. The deer approaches him. The child screams, wanting his mommy. The animal children are surprised, asking why he's saying that. The deer explains to them that humans do these things at the end of their lives, but they actually want to die and become food for us. The children believe him, and the deer begins the dissection, plunging the knife into the child's heart, who screams in pain. His blood splatters everywhere as his organs are gruesomely extracted while he is still alive. The cat is standing by. Suddenly, he feels something strange, his hand trembles, and he remembers everything. Memories of his past life as a human, the accident that happened to him, and his escape with his daughter. He remembers the leader experimenting on him and his daughter, Chica. The scene suddenly shifts. The cat is consumed by rage. His heart breaks as he grabs the knife next to him and lunges, screaming at the deer, but he stops at the last second. He freezes in his place, drops the knife, and says he's not well. He asks to be excused, that he can't do anything. He leaves as if nothing happened, but the deer looks behind him at the cat with suspicion. The cat walks in the city streets, lost. His mind is unstable. He walks through the farm that has become like a graveyard. Everything around him tells him he doesn't belong here. In a moment, he sees a scene that makes him explode. A goat is doing something bad to a human woman in front of him. He sees another animal roasting a human, wrapping him around a skewer over the fire. He sees an animal dragging a human by a collar as if he were a dog, and it is indeed barking like a dog. He is terrified. He runs into the forest, falling to the ground. He can't believe what he saw. How can these animals do this? They don't even deserve the title of animals. These are disgusting creatures. We must get rid of them. He returns to the farm and finds the sheep still finishing off the human girl and says to her, laughing, "You like doing this to them too? Okay, I'll prepare one for you." He goes to the naked human girl and tries to wake her up. He hits her hard, punching her body and face with all his might. She bleeds heavily but can't move. He looks at the cat and says, "Sorry, she's no use now." The cat, in a rage, attacks him madly, biting him on the neck with a bite that tears his skin. Then, with utmost brutality, he forces its mouth open with his bare hands until it splits in half. Blood spills everywhere. The goat screams its last breath. The silence after this crime is heavy. He eats the goat and enjoys its taste immensely. He throws its remains into a barrel next to it, full of blood. The scene shifts to a quiet street where children are playing, their laughter filling the air. A little boy runs until he is out of breath. He stops to rest by a small bridge and looks down. He sees a pig's head floating in the sewage water. The boy screams, and at the same time, the farm residents gather to talk about an emergency meeting of the animal council. An owl sits at the head of the table, surrounded by elder leaders. The matter is serious. A series of horrific murders has begun to spread in the village. 9 animals have died so far, and some have disappeared. It's impossible that an animal killed them. We don't kill each other. We have laws that protect our species. These are surely barbaric acts by humans. The bear begins to speak, its voice rough and serious. Whoever does this must be punished. Human or animal, it doesn't matter. We must stop them. We must kill them. The deer replies, "We will execute justice and find who killed the innocent." The meeting ends, and the bear goes. He sniffs the air, smelling a delicious meal inside a house. It doesn't matter to him if it's animal or human blood. He opens the door. Before he takes a single step, the cat descends from the ceiling, attacking him from the darkness. It slashes a knife into his nose. The bear screams and recoils from the cat's claws, but there is no escape. The cat jumps away from him, and in a moment of surprise, he wraps a rope around its neck and tries to hang it. But the bear cuts the rope with its claws. They look at the cat and run towards it. After a long battle, the bear realizes he can't win against an animal designed to kill before the father tears him apart. After that, it cuts to the animals burying the bear in a solemn funeral, sadness in their eyes. The leader comes to take the bear's brain and bury it honorably in the house. He puts the brain inside a jar next to other brains and sits, saying he was his only friend and only the animals who tell him the truth of the farm, the truth that cannot see the light. "Farewell, my friend." He hears a sound from above. The pig's head rolls down the stairs. The cat finished off everyone who attended the feast from the first chapter, leaving the deer alone. The cat stands before him, aiming at him with a rifle, and looks into his eyes, burning with rage. He fires the bullets at his head, blowing his head to pieces. The cat puts the rifle to his mouth and says, "Finally, I have avenged you, Shika. I will see you soon." But before he could commit suicide, he hears a voice from behind him. "I didn't think you'd remember. Thank you for coming. The one you killed wasn't me, it was just a meat dummy I made to look like me. I like doing these experiments. Animal bodies are perfect, interesting, and taste good." The cat is shocked, collapsing, not caring anymore. He attacks the deer in rage, but the deer extends his hand from behind the door, and Shika, his little daughter, whom he thought was dead, appears. But this isn't the Shika we know. She doesn't remember her father. She's just a small cat, meowing like cats. She has turned into a pet cat. The cat looks at his daughter, not knowing how to touch her, unable to believe it. The leader looks at him and says with a smile, "It was difficult to train your daughter at first, but I managed to raise her. I turned her into a pet because she was too cute to kill and eat like you." The cat feels shock, his heart breaks. He looks at his daughter licking the deer like cats and says with a sigh, "It doesn't matter, as long as you are still alive, my daughter. You are still fine. I must kill him." He attacks the deer violently, biting it and scratching its face. But the deer brutally plunges its horns into his stomach. The cat is bleeding, dying, but before he closes his eyes, Shika remembers her father, remembers his real name. At the same time, with complete calm, the deer starts eating the cat. He's eating its brain. The girl is terrified and tells him, "Why are you eating my father?" She faints. Shika wakes up, finding herself in the deer's arms. He explains calmly, "We are not like humans. We are children of the gods." He begins to tell her the whole secret. Years ago, humans ruled the earth, and they still do. There was a rare species on the verge of extinction. In this situation, they discovered a way to save it. Human scientists experimented on it, genetically modified it, played with its genes, and made it reproduce on its own without a male, like some creatures. But there was a problem: its energy source was eating human flesh, especially the brain. They started by eating their own young, devouring them greedily. By sheer coincidence, amidst the scientists' tension, one of the janitors was cleaning the room where it was. It slowly approached him and suddenly, in one go, devoured him. With the first human victim, hybrid creatures were born, half human, half animal. All the animals on this farm came from her, which is why they resemble humans. Afterwards, the deer decided to sacrifice Sheikah and hand her over to the farm's citizens. He stands in a public square before the angry animals and announces to them, "The era of killing is over. Sheikah is the one who killed these animals. Don't be deceived by her innocent appearance. It was able to deceive us all. We must achieve justice. It's impossible for us to kill someone of our kind. Humans deserve punishment." He says that while thinking they are just a failed experiment, just clones made in a lab, he was able to deceive them and make them feel they are a different species from humans. Even though in the outside world, humans control the world. But the scripture was comforting. It made them believe they had meaning. He takes Chica to the cellar. He opens a door, and finally, the mother goat appears, the primal entity that started everything. The deer gets closer to her, saying to Chica, "Do you know animal meat is much tastier than human meat?" An unspeakable pleasure. But I couldn't tell them that. He looks at his deformed mother and continues, "Hello, mother. I brought you a delicious meal." The girl is terrified, tears streaming down her eyes. He looks at her and continues, "Do you know why I told you all this? All that I told you is like spices for your brain. It will add a rich flavor." He removes her, bringing her close to the mother goat before she eats her with one bite. 10 months pass, and on a night, Chica is reborn. But not as a human, as a baby goat. The deer takes her gently and says, "You surely don't remember your memories yet. Don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. I'll raise you until you're well done." He leaves her to go to the farm. Chica the goat extends her tiny hands. She grabs a piece of meat. Her tongue comes out, tasting the blood and brains. But before Chica eats, she hears noise spreading everywhere. A door suddenly opens that a human soldier bursts in, holding a knife in one hand and a deer head in the other. He grabs Chica and runs out. A human army burns the entire village. Fire is everywhere. Animals are being slaughtered, their screams cut short. Amidst the flames, they are surprised by what is happening. Why are they killing them? How are they even killing them? The scene then cuts to a distant city, where a meeting between humans and sentient animals discusses these farm issues. We discover the truth that even the deer didn't know. There are farms like this all over the world with clones of the same mother goat that gives birth to them. All these goats are there to produce hybrid human-animal meat for the market. This means that all these farms were built to raise hybrid animals and humans too, and turn their meat into food. Their farm wasn't special. It managed to let them believe in the illusion that they are masters and that humans are food for them. When their rebellion exceeded its limits, and instead of being content with the humans they raised, they also killed and ate civilians who knew nothing about the matter, like the father and his daughter who had an accident. So the elite and businessmen decided that this farm had gone too far. It must be taken down before it harms the elite in any way. They all sit at a table with humans and hybrid animals, and before them is a huge feast of a human body and a hybrid animal body. Their heads are on 2 plates, and the elite are laughing and enjoying their time. The strong eat the weak. This is the only law in this world. At the same time, Chica is being transported in a truck, crammed with other animals. She looks back at the burning village and whispers, "I'm hungry." And the part 1 ends there.